The sexual marketplace, as we know, is in complete and utter disarray. And from my findings, the genesis of that is needs versus wants and in which order we place their importance. Hello, bonjour and buenos dias, people. I am Tug, the Unapologetic Gentleman, and this is Tug Talk, episode 1 in the Sexual Marketplace Chronicles, Needs versus Wants. This whole concept of needs versus wants, this is as relates to women and not men. Men have remained pretty much the same, I would say, generationally throughout probably all eternity. But there's been an evolution in the journey of women. Some say good, some say bad. As of today, the wants really for women are quite simple: tall and handsome. The provision factor is still significant, but the provision factor coming under the needs is put in the wrong pecking order. So, in the bygone era, a woman would prioritize her needs over her wants. Now, there's a priority of her wants over her needs. And this causes a whole raft of issues that we're dealing with today. You see, in a bygone era, it was always understood that a woman coupling up with a man, it needed to be with a man that could take care of her, or that could provide, or that wouldn't leave her destitute. After all, a woman is the one that gets pregnant and is very vulnerable with a child. So she needed to make sure she partnered up, married to, or coupled up with someone of substance. A really good example of this is Bridgeton. Daphne's character is brought into public society, debuted, shall I say, under the guidance of her brother, who is now the head of the family, following the passing of her father, and her mother. Now, as far as they're concerned, the number one criteria of the man is, does he have status? Does he have money? Is he able to provide for and protect our daughter? The process is as follows. During a summer of balls and lavish parties designed for young debuting women to meet potential husbands, Anthony takes charge. We see him reject a man with gambling debts. We see him reject a handsome man who is broke. He rejects a second son. He rejects a man of dubious parentage. He rejects the notion of being with a poet or an eccentric. He looks for a man that is outstanding, and Daphne is shocked at the whole concept of we, it being a group decision, not one that she can take on her own. They search for the man of the highest title or capability of provision. It's once they have a selection of men that feel they are entitled or allowed to court her, that she then selects from these highly sought after men the one that she has a better connection with, or one of those that have good character. After all, what is a relationship with a man that has a lot of money but has terrible character? Just to repeat, one of the men that Anthony rejects is a man that is handsome but is broke. And that's where I'm going to start off the whole concept of want. You see, in today's society, handsome men get first dibs on most women. Not all, but most women. So we have a culture where successful men, who probably are average in looks or average in height, which are most men, have second pickings to the handsome man who has first pickings. And this is always going to end in disaster. So with the help of Daphne and her Bridgeton journey, I'm going to use what I'd like to call the TST, the Tug Selection Table, to explain what used to happen based on the journey of Daphne from Bridgeton, and see how the selection process then, needs taking priority over wants, boded well for them back then, and how it bodes badly for us now when wants are prioritized over needs. So the first table really is Daphne's journey. Daphne enters a summer ball. There are 10 men in there. First and foremost, with the guidance of her brother, she picks the 3 guys that are the most successful that they can see. Barons, prince, dukes, whatever it is. Through that courting process, when they come knocking the next day, she gets to select the one that she's more compatible with. But the 3 of them are assured to be able to provide and protect or be a substantial financial influence upon her life because they've picked on that basis and that basis alone. So 10 is whittled down to 3 of the highest caliber men, of which a compatibility is discovered with one of the 3. Therein we have our partner that is most likely able to provide for and give Daphne a great life. Let's look at our modern day Daphne and now their endeavors to pick what they want. So a modern day Daphne walks into a nightclub or a bar or maybe even online. 10 guys available to be picked, and what is picked first? Well, the 3 most hottest guys. Not the 3 most successful guys, the 3 most hottest guys. The 3 tallest, the 3 more handsome, the ones that could be described as Adonis looking people. Once she has those 3 people that she's picked from the 10 and they come knocking the next day, she picks one. But because she's picked on looks alone, we have absolutely no guarantee that he can provide and he can protect. Backed with feminism and the ability to do as a man will do, then anything can happen. Sex, a baby, or whatever. This is a very big problem, and this is where we're going wrong. This is essentially the genesis of the dilemma we find in the sexual marketplace currently. The last table I'm describing is the game that we currently play in the modern world. The game that's put before women. Men are capable of any kind of infidelity or unseriousness or being broke or whatever. But we are held in check by the women and what we are required to get them. And in a bygone era, it had to be provision. It had to be success. But if that's not a requirement, then men can be lazy. Or if that's not a requirement and the requirement is to look good, then those guys that do look good might not be significant people. That's not to say that looking good means you can't be. I know very many men that are top echelon in terms of look and are killing it in business. But the last table describes the game that women play or the options put forward. Hypothetically, 10 partners they can pick from, but we know nothing of their looks and we know nothing of their wealth. What can be revealed is either their faces to see how physically appealing they are. We can say that on the very far left of the spectrum will be someone that resembles or has the kind of looks of Mr. Bean. And on the very far right, we have someone that resembles or has the feel and looks of a James Bond. The second option for women is to pick on wealth. 10 pictures, same guys. We don't know what each individual person's wealth is, but we know that someone's earning from 10,000 to 100,000. So our James Bond, that's number 10 in the looks scale, he might well be the guy that earns 20,000. Whilst Mr. Bean, who's number 1 on the look scale, the most unattractive, might be the guy that's earning 80,000. We do not know. But women are given a choice. Turn the cards back and see what they look like, or turn the cards back and see what they're earning. In a bygone era, all of the women would say, I'm turning the cards back to see what they earn. And once they can see there's someone earning 100, 90, and 80,000, they'd pick those 3 guys to court them. When those 3 guys come knocking, they then get to see what they look like. And if those 3 guys are a 2, a 6, and an 8, well then she'd probably endeavor to pick the 8. Or pick the 6 if the 8 has bad character. Modern women, they would rather pick the looks aspect. You see that they will probably pick the 10, the 9, and the 8. Problem is, the 10, the 9, and the 8 might well be the guys that earn 10, 20, and 30,000. Of course, she'll pick the guy that earns 30,000. But then you are left with is not necessarily a man of significance or of high caliber. Now, so long as women could keep focusing on their wants, the feels, and what gives the feels, well, that's looks. Or that's a bad boy, as it's been said in the community, the Tyrone and Chad, or whatever it is. So long as women keep perpetuating this whole practice, the sexual marketplace is going to be continually degrading and going into a black hole that no light is at that tunnel for a very long time. The table says it all. The day we get back to getting women to pick on substance ahead of looks, getting women to pick what they need against what they want, then the sexual marketplace becomes a better place and men start to get women distributed evenly instead of this Pareto principle where 20% of men have access to like 80% of women, and there's a class of sexlessness or a singleness that's going on with men and actually with women because they mostly can't get what they want. There's not enough of the 10s and the 8s and the 9s to go around for everyone. So check out my next video. Episode 2 of the Sexual Marketplace Chronicles, Jeremy Meeks. And until then, goodbye, au revoir, and hasta luego.